Hey, how's it going, everybody? Oh, is that recording? Sharing, recording? It's recording, right? I'm gonna have time here. Okay. Oh, there we go. It is recording. Just couldn't see it with the notice. Anyway, so John Regan with E-Powersport here, and so today I want to come to you guys and talk to you a little bit about an interesting development here with Canyon and LeBron James, and just kind of want to go over that a little bit. This might actually be more of a video for owners and manufacturers because I'm going to cover some different types of celebrity and the kind of a mass mentality behavior around these celebrities. And so this advice in the end, I mean, it's really going to be more for these guys, and I'll get into that a little more here in a minute. But yeah, it's really going to help you as an owner or as somebody that produces a product to make sure you're choosing the right representation. We're gonna go through some of these comments. I'm gonna explain some of my personal experience having sold bikes to somebody major, Shaq, as you guys know, and how that affected sales and stuff. So, um, yeah. So it's been a while since I put out a video, so I want to cover this because I was looking at it today and just thinking about it. Now, there's certain aspects to this whole thing that make me like, okay, whatever. But there's certain aspects of it where I think we could all learn a little better and probably do a little better, especially as people in this industry for our customers. And so let me get into that. Right, I've been working on actually I've been working on a whole new shop setup and a whole new design for the business. So far, I'm seeing e-bike companies be very accepting of this, and once I get it solidified, because I do a lot of research to make sure I was within the realms of legality. Luckily, it is. I can do this. I just have to do it a certain way. And yeah, it should allow us to not only proliferate and propagate as a business, but also to be able to introduce new brands as they come out in a fair and more level, equitable playing field for everybody. So it'll be interesting. Beyond that, though, which brings me to this. As many of you probably know, if you're in the bicycle industry, LeBron James and Canyon have just recently announced this new program. LeBron is an investor in Canyon. From what I've researched, it looks like Mr. James has been in there since about 22. So he's only about 2 years in. Unfortunately for LeBron, and I'm just going to say this, he joined at the end of the height, right? And this is an analysis I've done before. This is something I've talked about before. And at this point, we're at the low. So I'm not surprised he would step up in this. What I do think is interesting is, the mass appeal approach they're attempting here with LeBron, because the whole find your freedom thing and, really trying to get people to understand what having a bike can do. And I think that's awesome. But bro, LeBron, dude, you're not going to do it with a $4,500 carbon fiber electric bike. All right. And as you go through their bikes, now what you have to understand is Canyon is a top tier brand, right? They're not, they are, when you go through what their mission and how they present themselves, they are an enthusiast brand. Okay. Um, so as enthusiasts, you're not going to get really excited when you see a basketball player who isn't I mean, he's known for riding, but he's not necessarily known for riding, right? Come in and just kind of, play with and almost take over from these athletes. And I think, in my opinion, they would have done better to probably double or even quadruple down, like our government did with the tariffs, on on other athletes that you would know as an enthusiast. Um, so it's interesting because as we scroll down through the comments, there's, to be fair, this is him marketing the company. He already made a decision to invest a while ago. Your point still rings true, but just to expand on the timeline a little. But what I learned, right, from Shaq buying with me and having the minor bit of endorsement that he provided is this type of celebrity, specifically um, competitive athletes, right? They have a very polarizing effect. And it's a polarizing effect in the way that actors and actresses don't necessarily have, because there's a competition involved, right? And because that competition, you end up liking one person, maybe not liking the other person. You get deep emotional feelings about that, right? Because you're fandom. And whether or not it's a good bite, whether or not you've been with this brand forever, if for some reason you don't like LeBron James, as we see in some of these comments, as you go down, you know, some people say, "Hey, they like it. I didn't know he didn't bike in LA. You should probably start biking in LA, buddy." Probably the one guy still would warrant a 2 times chain. Yeah. So they talk about him being big, but as you roll down, you find that somebody supporting LeBron James is okay for me. The bigger the marketing, the weaker the product. So you're starting to see, hey, there might be some holes. People are starting to say, hey, there might be some holes in what's going on here. Looks like they're moving away from the Williams Bros. I mean, that's sucks. LeBron is involved, not who I'd want to associate with at all. Probably the worst thing y'all could have done. I second this. And then I made, a comment here. It's an interesting point because a celebrity can be polarizing. I had actually lost electric motorcycle sales when a potential customer found out that Shaq had bought from us. He had asked me, hey, how do I know you're legit? Because there's all these Chinese companies with, local US websites, and you could just be fronting for him. And I said, well, I mean, Shaquille O'Neal came into our shop. He bought from us. There's video of it. You can see it. And the guy says, oh, well, I don't like Shaquille O'Neal, so I'm not going to buy from you. It's like, shit. So it made me analyze the types of celebrity. All right. And so, and this is how you should leverage competitive celebrity. This is competitive celebrity we're talking about here, right? It's very different from, say, acting or even singing celebrity. Those things have a mass appeal. And because of it, there's very few haters. And even when people don't like a specific genre or specific type of work that a actor or actress is involved in, they will still not hate that person, right? I mean, I've actually had conversations with people where they say they hate. I'm like, you don't even know Shaq. Like, do you know him? Like, do you hang out with him? Do you know him enough to actually hate him? They're just like, nah, I just hate him for what I saw. Blah blah blah. It's like, all right, dude, people. You know what I mean? So I just commented about that polarizingness that's there because when you have these competitive celebrities, you get A and B, right? Unlike acting and actors, singing and stuff, where you get a mass and then a much smaller hater group, right? And even that hater group is more like me. They're not like, I hate them. Though the higher the celebrity, the deeper people feel about that person. You got to keep that in mind too. Like you look at Taylor Swift, right? You got the Swifties who love Taylor, and then you have the non-Swifties who are like, you know, accuse her of being in like cults and stuff. It's crazy, but still, my point is that there's such varied camps, right? That even in doing this, you could think you're helping your business, and you could hurt your business a lot. Like, guy would flop if he ran over a pedal. Gross. LeBron is whack. I may have purchased my last Canyon. Like, Canyon needed extra bad reputation. It's like, whoa, whoa, wow. So it really kicks when you start looking at these types of celebrity endorsements, and you start looking at them, you're like, there's a big polarization that occurs here that doesn't occur in other areas, right? So when you look at using athletes or competitive celebrities for your endorsements, what you should really look at is how you're positioning those celebrities and what their how should I put it, their A and B groups would look like. All right, so your A group that loves them, you have your B group that doesn't. In LeBron's case, I would say he's probably pumping a 50-50 on the population, right? So that means that you're literally going to isolate out half your potential market because they don't like LeBron. Now, what did you do to compensate for that, right? Most companies don't do anything. They stick with somebody like LeBron. They just move along. They're like, we lose half the market, but we get this half. That's not good enough. What you should be doing is you should be looking at their competition. You should be looking at who the rivalries are actually with and leveraging their personal branding against those people within your product line, your marketing. So you give them one thing, hey, LeBron loves to ride this bike and he does this and he does this. And then whoever his counter is that has the most following, that has the most LeBron haters, you have them do a bike, right? And then you make the competition more friendly because what happens is you have LeBron representation with nobody else, and all that 50% of people feel like you just don't give a shit about them. So, in order to help them understand you come across with a secondary, you come across with a rival product. Because if you don't, your competitor will. All right. They will leverage your own marketing against you by figuring out how to compete in that 50% of people that you just basically shunned by only offering them one option. I don't even want to get into the debate stuff. I don't want to get politics. Don't even get me started on that right now. I get a one option versus two. I was like, don't get me started on that. Anyway, back to this. So I think it's interesting, but I don't think marketing and programs to get people riding are the issue. I think that as we look at their product lineup, we find that Canyon is very expensive. They're nice. Don't get me wrong. We're talking carbon fiber, very specific bikes, but they're not a mass appeal bike. I think the cheapest bike I found on here was $899. It was the most basic kind of a. It was a mountain bike. Let's see here. Where is that thing? Yeah, there it is. I mean, really. At least it has front shocks. But I mean, your straight line. This is a trick bike kind of a situation. Single speed. I mean, and it's not an e-bike, so that kind of sucks. Yeah, just reeling down. I would say this is more competitive with Ripper. This is what this is kind of looking to compete with at $899. Now, keep in mind at $899, you can buy a relatively inexpensive e-bike with multiple gear. Now, granted, it's not going to be as high quality. I'm not saying it is, but you'll be able to go farther. You'll be able to use it for daily transportation without killing yourself, and you have a better carry capacity, so it can actually be used alternately. It's not just a fun thing that you're buying for $899, right? And that's really where I think the disconnect has happened here with a lot of the major companies like Canyon, who's owned by not just LeBron, but they were also acquired in 2020 by GBL as part of the TSGO fully exits minority stake, blah, blah, blah. Has sold to Google, terms of transaction not disclosed, Baird served as financial advisor to Canyon Bicycles on this transaction. So, anyway, so they're owned by a German company, which does explain to me a lot of the cost and why the bikes are so expensive. I think there's something to be said for. Oh, that's interesting. I think there's something to be said for feeling your market out and branching out with a secondary brand, which is probably what I would recommend for these guys. You need to maintain Canyon's enthusiast user base, right? You need to maintain Canyon's uh, motto. You need to maintain their inspire to ride, build the best bikes, and enable unforgettable ride experiences. Be the world's most inspiring and innovative bike brand, right? You gotta say how you do that stuff, but and man, they've been around forever, right? And they've been bought and sold a couple times, ownership, but investment ownership, I should say. So I think they should really keep that. But what my recommendation would be to them, if possible, if they can find out how to do it, especially with LeBron on this stuff, is to find a way to buy Onyx motorbikes, right? Um, Onyx had a great reputation in the e-bike industry. They had a great community, and they even have what I would consider a crossover product in the LZR, the laser, right? For Canyon, right? Very well made bike, very well designed jumper and e-bike, and even has a throttle option. But that at its price point could have been a good e-bike entry. And with their, what I expect from innovation and technology is to help bring prices down, right? Not bring prices up. So when I go through their list, it's like there's not many e-bikes or even non-e-bike options under a couple $1,000s, and you're just not competing in the market right now. If you're selling a regular bike at $5,000 and $6,000, when somebody can get an e-bike for half the price, that's going to get them much farther and get them out the door much easier, right? People want to save time, they want to save money, they don't want to kill themselves. And yes, you can get a decent workout if you're pedaling along with your e-bike. I've actually proven that many times with heart monitors and stuff, and even riding the motorcycle with some of the thrills you get with that. People almost ready to go over. Oh yeah, that heart rate went up. so, so there is still a workout involved. You don't have to be a purist. I think if LeBron and Canyon's intentions are true, right, and what they say here about getting more and more people out, their best bet to do that is to figure out how to make quality bikes at more reasonable prices, right? How to give people something better for less so that more people can afford it and you guys still make a profit, right? I know that's hard, believe me. It's hard. Um, but it is possible, right? Especially if you have people actually dedicated to your business and making it work in the long term versus the short term goal, which is I want money in my pocket today. No, you want to see gains, right? You want to see market influence increase, and then after your 5 to 10 year investment term, you want to see growth or you want to see exit. So, yeah, I just think that it's interesting to see this, and I didn't go through some of the other stuff here, but I think that in their instance, they need something that's really going to put them in a better market position for affordable bicycles for people. Because even looking at their e-bikes, where is that one? Let's go in their e-bikes. Let's hit up what we got here. 4,500. We got 3,700. But now let's take a look at that. In comparison, actually, I had this exact frame. Yeah, I actually had this exact frame in the Watt Wagons bike we had. I had a 52 volt, um, 14 amp hour battery pack. So let's see what they got here. Full carbon. Yep. And our motor was way more powerful. Our motor fucking dominated over this thing. So where's my battery listing? 80 newton meters. 85 newton meters of torque is laughable, quite honestly. That's like what I tell people is the bare minimum they should get on their e-bike. That's the bare minimum for e-biking, really. Highlights, no. Let's get into all your components. Let's take a look here. 720 watt hours, so comparable on the battery size. Motor is the EP801. Now the EP801, I think is only like 500 watts. And 85 newton meters of torque. Quite honestly, even with the gearing, is kind of laughable. Ours were Bafang Ultras running the Archon X81 or X1, sorry, running the Archon X1 controller, which is basically the Luna Ludicrous controller direct from the manufacturer. And that thing put out 160 to 220 newton meters of torque, and that's not at the wheel, that's at the motor. so, yeah, I think it's interesting. It's like, oh, it's powerful, but it's not that powerful. And 36, I think I sold that one for like 4,200 used. Like I wrote it and did stuff with it, and yeah, and somebody bought it off me used for that much. But it's a really nice bike. Damn, it's a really nice bike. Um, I would say this again is kind of light duty. You're talking $3,700. It's got a motor, might get you 20 miles an hour. I don't see any mention of a throttle. Oh, it's a nice detail. It's a little chain guard thing there. Yeah. So I mean, they're just not competitive. Really nice, but not competitive, right? Especially when, yeah, I was looking at building bikes for much cheaper. And gravel bikes are cool, but again, we're in the enthusiast realm, and you just don't have a lot of enthusiasts right now, especially people that have the money for it. Well, let's check out their e-touring bikes, see if there's anything special here. Now, keep in mind, I sell pretty much everything. Yeah. Holy crap. I say holy crap because it's expensive. Wow. That is like owl money, dude. Let's see. Okay, let's just check out the most expensive one. This most expensive one. $3,700. Oh, and it's new. Explore the outdoors without breaking a sweat. Well, you can break a sweat. Well, one thing, they're using Bosch motors. Now, Bosch motors are really nice, but they're really expensive for not a lot of power. 625 watt hour battery pack, 48 volt, 14 amp hour, basically, and it's still the 85 newton meters of torque. So it's not bad, but in these mid-drive configurations, also for e-bikes, what I find is most normal riders don't understand it. When the reality with a mid-drive like this on a bike is that you now have a manual transmission, right? You're shifting gears to go through the range in order to get more and more torque out of the motor because you're taking advantage of those rear chain ring, that rear cassette ring. So it's a way more technical bike that a lot of people kind of lean away from, especially in this more cruiser, get around town commuter style, right? They want simplicity, and they usually go for a hub motor, which is more akin to an automatic. Like I said, I get where you guys are coming from here, but you're just, nice and light. Realistically, you're going to get probably about, it's not a very powerful motor, so you probably get like 50 miles on a charge, 14 amp hour, but you're just not going to go very fast, and you're not going to have a lot of power to get out of the way of danger like you might need to. That's one of the reasons I really like having a throttle on e-bikes. 2E. I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh, but it's like you're spending $3,700 on that 2E bike. See, and therein lies the problem. As I pointed out before, Canyon is owned by a German company. Canyon is also mostly finished in Germany as you start looking through the branding and stuff. And so they're kind of bound to the European standards, which by our standards are just crazy slow and very expensive. So I think what LeBron and them should really do is analyze the market a little more rather than go for marketing push. See that you need to come out with a line of affordable bikes that are realistic to getting people around. If you want to get people out on bikes, sell them at a price they can afford, and something that's actually usable, not like a 10 or 8 amp hour battery. It's going to get you like 10, 20 miles on a ride and just be disappointing. You know what I mean? So especially with Canyon, because they have a good, it looks like at least, they have a good run at the business, right? They have good design, they have quality product, but they could branch out, they could bring the price down, and maintain their quality. Yeah, right? You don't want to lose quality, you just maintain your standards. Um, and really introduce more and more people to biking, right? I think it's almost a lip service, right? Your problem here isn't that you don't make good bikes. Your problem here is that you make good bikes that are outside the normal outside the price for most people buying bikes right now. Most people buying bikes right now are looking at $1,000 less. They have money; they're looking at 2,000 or less. There's only like one bike on here that most people would be able to afford in the market that are out looking for bikes, right? And I understand, again, enthusiast market, but it's pointed out, polarizing celebrity. You need to be careful in your business who your influencers are that you work with, who your celebrities are that you promote with. It's okay to sell to celebrities. Hey, everybody needs a bike, right? But if they offer to do something like that for you, really focus in on how the execution is played. Because at the end of the day, you want there to be a ROI, right? You want there to be a hype appeal that happens because of the celebrity that's occurred and the celebrity endorsement. You don't want to lose your customers, right? So, as great as this is, I think they should have really analyzed more of their customer base a little more before LeBron stepped into the light here, and at the very least had a competitive, a fun, right, competitive thing that would have given people who don't like LeBron an option to root for, right? And they both are doing the same thing. Maybe they do a race. Maybe it all builds up to a big bike race, and they just freaking go at it, something like that. But it's just, yeah, good opportunity, good possibility. I just think your analysis was a little off on what you guys really need. Oh, a lot off. Sorry. So, yeah. And this is what you see. You see that this type of celebrity, like I said, is very polarizing, is very in need of competitiveness because that's what drives it in the first place, right? If you're using actors and actresses and musicians, there's a very different view from people to about them. So it's as you do your business, as you build your products, really analyze the type of influencer or the type of celebrity that you're using before you get to that point, because as we see in this, and as I learned personally, it can really negatively affect you and your business, and that negatively affects a lot of stuff. So, but yeah, that's my 2 cents. These guys should really focus more on quality, affordable products because they're not now. Maintaining um, their enthusiast base through promoting the riders in the industry. And if they're going to use competitive or athletic celebrity endorsements, they should really set up an alternate to that person because there's always going to be a big group. Like I said, I think LeBron's like 50-50. So people I've talked to is like, I like him, I don't like him, I like him, I don't like him. It's just, yeah. So, but because there's a competitiveness involved, the behavior mentality becomes like or don't like, right? And if he's against somebody I like, then I don't like him. It's very simple. So give them somebody to like. That's what I'm saying. And be conscious of that because doing these things, like I said, it can hurt your business even more than it helps your business. So keep that stuff in mind.